Hey, howdy, hey, Disney Daily here. Hi, everybody. Well, today I am going to be talking about how I believe that Toy Story is not over. Yes, in fact, that we will get a fifth installment of Toy Story. And part of my theory, you'll see, but basically I propose what the story of Toy Story 5 would look like. So look, the reason why I think Toy Story is not over is because look at how many years we've had Toy Story going on. And I mean, think about when you were 4, when you were 5, 6, 7, you grew up with these characters and it is such a classic. And especially when you take when Toy Story 2 happened and then all the years that went by and then you finally get Toy Story 3. Think about the new wave of children that were introduced to Toy Story that year, right? Because there was such a huge gap. So that's why I don't think it's over. You just have all these generations of children who have grown up with these toys. Now, here is what I would like to see happen in a Toy Story 5. And I have 2 theories, but let's go with the first one because it is the one that I have flushed out the most and makes the most sense to me and I think would be a really epic adventure. So what we know at this point, right, that the toys are separate. So Woody and Bo Peep go on their own adventure and the toys all go back with Bonnie. And so this is great. Okay, so drum roll please. Toy Story 5 will be the toys go to college. Now, here is how they will go to college. Now, I'm predicting that Woody gets really sad. He just really misses Andy. He wants one last interaction with Andy, and he can't help but reminisce on all the good times. And then, you have Jessie and Buzz and Slinky and Rex. They're all starting to really miss Andy too. And this is how they will find themselves on a college campus. Now, if you guys recall in Toy Story 3, Andy's mom actually makes Andy start to go through his things in his room and sort them, like what's going to go to college and what isn't. Now, if you recall, Andy was separating the toys and he had put all of the toys essentially in a bag that would go into the attic. And then Woody, he threw into his college box. Now, I'm just proposing that maybe when Woody was tossed into the box, he saw some form of evidence on where exactly Andy would be going to, right? Some type of college acceptance letter, some type of t-shirt, some type of keychain, anything that might have indicated what college Andy would go to. Now that the toys are on campus, they decide to split up because, that's always a good idea in movies. They all decide to split up because they want to try to find Andy faster. And this is where I would think this could be really crafty and creative for the writers. So the toys would all go into these different college classes, right? And I think it'd be really funny, for example, Ham would stumble into finance or, some type of accounting because he's a piggy bank, right? And he likes money. And I think it would be very funny. He wanders, somehow finds himself in accounting class. And then you have Rex, who is a dinosaur, and maybe he finds himself in a paleontology class, right? And sees like a life-size, dinosaur and is just in awe and, being Rex. And then you have Buzz Lightyear, right? Maybe he finds himself stumbling into aerospace, engineering, and he gets it just takes him back, and he's like, I remember when I thought I was a space ranger and, I could defeat Zurg, and it starts, bringing back all these memories for him. And then here's where it could be even more funny. So how most college campuses have like sororities and fraternities. Maybe the toys sneak out at night and, they find themselves in the middle of a toilet paper war between fraternities, and so they're just like getting all mixed up in the toilet paper and they're like, what happens here? What goes on in these crazy places? And I just think it could be a very fun scene for kids that they would just get a kick out of it, and adults would, reminisce and think, oh, how funny, college days, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm thinking maybe they can incorporate a library scene, right? We always have libraries on college campuses, and maybe the toys find themselves in a library, and maybe they've never even been to a library, so they don't understand that they have to be quiet, especially Rex. Rex is always pretty loud. And then how Toy Story always loves to bring in a new and exciting character to the cast, and I love it. I mean, Forky was a hit. He literally, I remember because I would go to the park all the time and I would see parents walking around with Forky shirts and I would see little kids walking around with their little Forky figurine. So, I mean, Disney loves the introduction of new characters. So the perfect place, I think, would be the toys find themselves in the student store and, whatever the college campus mascot might be, like maybe it's a Viking, thinking, I don't know, maybe it's another horse for Bullseye. Maybe it's some, I don't know, like mythical creature. And it'd be really funny. They stumble into the student store and then they meet like a figurine or a keychain or something along those lines. And there you go. Boom. There is a new character that will be added to the Toy Story line. Now, again, this is my own theory on what I would like to see for Toy Story and how I believe that it isn't over. And honestly, I think this makes the most sense. I mean, if you look at the story, the continuation of the story would eventually either lead them somewhere completely different, obviously, or maybe going down memory lane in which they all have this central tie to Andy. And I think, like I said, it would be very funny for them to find themselves on a college campus, trying to find Andy, putting together clues, and getting themselves in some sticky situations. My other theory is that we get more of a prequel. The only idea I thought of, and obviously I'm going to go back to the drawing board and think some more, was maybe a prequel of Woody. So maybe how Woody was maybe before he became Andy's toy. And I'm suggesting maybe he was a part of Woody's roundup. Maybe that was Woody's history, because if you think about it, it's very fishy, right? In Toy Story 2, Al is very concerned about getting Woody, right? Like he needs to take these toys to somewhere in Japan. He has to sell them, right? And so when he finds Woody in the yard sale, he's like, I'll give you anything. How much do you want for him? But then this doesn't really make sense that it is just so hard to get a Sheriff Woody doll, because we know when Woody goes and finally stumbles upon Stinky Pete and Jessie and Bullseye, Stinky Pete explains to Woody, you know, why the show got canceled. And it was because the astronauts went up and children only wanted to play with space toys. So if children were playing with space toys and, you know, Sheriff Woody dolls weren't popular anymore, they were all over the place, you could buy them anywhere, then why would there only be one Sheriff Woody doll that Al was so concerned about getting? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And then on top of that, Al owns a toy store. So if anybody knows how to get toys and where to get toys, it would have been Al. So why was Woody so hard to find? I really think that Woody was maybe potentially the Woody from Woody's Roundup. Now, how he doesn't remember any of this, I don't know, but I did read a theory online that they have some type of a reboot, that everything gets wiped out and their memory starts new, so that's why they don't remember who they previously were owned by, which also doesn't make sense because we know Jessie never really forgot Emily. I'm not as huge of a fan of it, but I don't know. A prequel of Woody I think would be really interesting. I want to know the backstory of Woody. Like I said, if they're going to continue the story, great. This is what I would love to see. I think it would be so funny. I think it would be entertaining. I think it would bring all age groups together. And I'm not saying this is going to happen anytime soon. I mean, it could happen within the next couple years, or it could take 10 years again before we see another Toy Story. But if I was sitting at the desk creating this story, this is where I would take the storyline. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I love making theories. I wish I was a creator where I could sit at the desk with everybody and be like, pitching my idea for what I think Toy Story 5 should look like. But it was just so fun to create, and I think there's so many ways they could go for a 5th installment. But until then, I guess we just have to speculate on what another one might look like. But as always, guys, thank you for being my guest, and please leave some comments for me. Let me know what you would like to hear next. More theories, if you guys would like me to get into maybe some makeover tutorials, how I turn into Belle, for instance, or I don't know, go over merchandise from the Disneyland park. Please let me know. I want to hear from you guys. Thanks. Until next time.